For the last couple months, I've had a huge problem. I haven't read a single book since last year. Now, this is completely due to the fact that I've spent the last 6 months of my life working on a movie. But now that the movie is out, every time I try to open a book, I just cannot do it. I have never felt this way before. This is the closest thing I've ever felt to scoliosis. So that's why for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to test every single reading slump hack I can find on the internet to see if they work and see if I can actually finish a new book. Alright, so for the first reading slump hack of the video, I'm going to be reading a short story out of this Stephen King short story collection called If It Bleeds. I'm actually very interested to see how this goes because all the Stephen King books I've read have been on the longer side. Like, for example, I've read 11/22/63 and It both, which are super duper long. And the more I think about it, the books I have read recently have been extremely long, which is probably why I'm in this slump anyways. So I'm very interested to see how reading one of Stephen King's short stories actually goes. Am I going to enjoy it, or is the longer style more his thing? Is that the thing I appreciate more from him? The short story I'm going to be reading is called Mr. Harrigan's Phone. I actually recognize this one because it has been adapted into a film, I think by Netflix. I might be giving that a watch if I enjoy this short story, but let's give this a read. Yesterday, I ended up reading about 20 pages of Mr. Harrigan's Phone. It is so good. I'm actually surprised by how easy it was to get into a story, especially for a short story. To be fair, I haven't read much short stories, so I don't really know how they're supposed to be structured, but Stephen King obviously knows what he's doing. I mean, the man has written a lot of short stories, so I'm not actually too surprised that it was very enjoyable so far. But there hasn't been anything scary yet, or at least the scary part that I kind of know about. So I'm hoping that I get there today. But I am so hyped. Bro, my jaw is literally on the floor. Mr. Harrigan's Phone is probably one of the best things I've ever read. Like, I don't understand how he was able to, like, captivate me in that short amount of time. Like, that is genuinely insane. Dude, that plot twist was just when you figure it, like, oh my gosh. It's like towards the end of the thing, something happens and it just changes everything. It's oh my gosh, it's so crazy. Basically, Mr. Harrigan's Phone is about this kid that works for this old man in his neighborhood, and he develops this like really close, really friendly bond with this guy to the point where he gives him this iPhone as a gift, basically. Anyways, Mr. Harrigan eventually dies, and he puts this phone, his old phone, in his coffin, and then he starts to receive text messages from it, which just launches into this insane mystery. It's crazy. Dude, that's like wild. Dude, that probably got me out of a reading slump right there. Like, that's nuts. That's crazy. But we have a bunch more methods to try out. The next one is the audiobook method. I've been trying to figure out a good audiobook to read, but I've legit found nothing. There's one book that I've been meaning to read that I've heard is really good on audiobook, and that is Sunrise on the Reaping. New book from the Hunger Games series that's being turned into a movie that's coming out this year. I have yet to read that for some reason. It's been a minute since I've read the Hunger Games book, so I think that's the reason why I've been putting it off. Maybe that's a good one to check out. So I think I'm going to listen to that, see how it goes. The thing with audiobooks is that the reason why I don't listen to them is because they can just be so slow. Like, some of these audiobooks are like up to 24 hours long. It's kind of crazy, but I'm gonna give it a go and see what happens. All right, it's now nighttime, guys. I don't know if y'all can tell, but I got the Snoopy pajamas on. That's what we're working with today. Guys, I have some very bad news. The book I was gonna listen to, Sunrise on the Reaping, is apparently not available to listen to on Spotify Premium, which is kind of insane because I was like 100% sure it was. But I found another book to listen to, and that is called Fearful. It is out of the Powerless series, and I cannot lie, the Powerless series has low-key been a guilty pleasure series for me, like for the past 2 years. And I cannot believe I'm admitting to this, but it is a fantasy romance series. It is very, very good. I've given pretty much every single book in the series 5 stars. I low-key like a good romance if it works. If it's not cheesy, if it feels real, give it to me. Okay, but anyways, I didn't realize this entry in the series even released, so this is actually a perfect choice for an audiobook. The only thing I am concerned about though is that it is 7 hours and 30 minutes long. I don't know if I'm going to be able to listen to all of that for this segment, but I'm going to try and get through a good chunk. I got the AirPods. I'm just not going to have to do any of the work. I just get to lay in bed and listen to this. That's insane. Let's get to it. Yeah, so the audiobook didn't really go so well. Alright, here's the thing. I don't think Fearful was probably the right book to listen to with an audiobook because, okay, here's the thing. And this isn't really judging the book, but at the same time, it kind of is. Dude, I cannot listen to that with a straight face. Like, I genuinely cannot. I literally turned on the prologue bit and, dude, there's just something about someone saying, like, death breathes against the trees in such an epic narration voice that just, like, I cannot listen to that crap with a straight face, bro. And that's not really like a subjective thing to the book. Like, that's just something I have it with all audiobooks. I either don't take them seriously, they're too long, and I just usually go, oh, I could just read this and I could probably get through it faster. 3, or I just get sidetracked and I don't pay attention for some reason. But I'm sorry, that was a fail. I think that put me more in a slump, honestly, just like having to turn that off because of how I just couldn't get through it. It's just crazy. But there's one final method I really, really want to try, and that is the rereading a book method. Here's the thing. I'm pretty, like, big against rereading books, right? I only reread books if they're, like, books that I genuinely, like, really, really need to reread to understand them. But I'm all for going out there, reading new stuff. Like, I'm not big on, like, rereading something. It just feels like a lot of work being done again. So I do really want to test this method out with a book that I read around, like, 2 years ago called Throne of Glass. This is one of my favorite book series of all time. I read the entire book series for a video, actually, but I've been meaning to read this book again, and I just never found the time. And I think now is the perfect time to try out this method while reading this book. I actually think I'm gonna really enjoy rereading this, and I'm very interested to see what my thoughts were now versus 2 years ago, because I mean, with this book, dude, everything about it was extremely positive. I liked how fast the pacing was, even for the longer books in the series. The characters were really, really great. So I'm super duper excited to get into this book. All right, guys, it is now nighttime, and I'm about to reread Throne of Glass. I am actually, like, really excited to read this for some reason. I think this could be the method that, like, gets me out of this reading slump. The Stephen King short story did a little bit, but then the audiobook kind of, like, put me back in there. Just something about, like, an unfinished book really bothers me, but that audiobook was just not it, okay? But dude, I think this could be the one. I think this could be the one that changes everything and gets me out of this reading slump, okay? I'm trying every single hack until I get out of this reading slump, okay? All right, enough yapping. Let's get into reading Throne of Glass. Okay, I gotta make a video because, dude, I forgot how good the first chapter of this book is, dude. Just the way the author has already introduced the main character, a few supporting characters, and really the situation that this book is starting off in is just brilliant. And especially with, like, how very few pages this first chapter is. It's just really, oh, dude, I'm back. We're so back. We're so back. I am 105 pages into Throne of Glass, the reread, and honestly, dude, this has just been swift. This has just been an easy read, but yet I'm still just, like, enjoying it. I'm just chillaxing. It's been a blast. I think this is the kind of book that I needed for this reading slump thing, because this is definitely getting me out of that. Of course, I still have a long way to go, but I'm honestly not too worried, just with how easy this has been to read. I think the main issue as to why I, like, got into the reading slump into the first place was mainly just the amount of like long books I've read recently, which is probably just why that's happened. But something easy like this, a couple hundred pages, no big deal. We're gonna try and get through this. Alright guys, I gotta say it, I might be the worst person when it comes to filming these types of videos, because tell me how I forgot to finish filming myself reading this book, okay? Look, the Easter holidays happened, I read this book over the Easter holidays, and I completely forgot to film any of it. Literally, that's the last footage I have. However, I was able to finish Throne of Glass, and so to make up for it, I actually made a little PowerPoint about what happened whenever I reread this book. So we're gonna go through that. Alright, so basically what happened whenever I was reading Throne of Glass, add stuff here about, okay. Alright, I think I forgot to add the information about what happened whenever I read the book. This is why no one picks me for their class projects. Alright, well, essentially what happened was that I read this entire book, okay? I actually really enjoyed it. It was crazy revisiting a favorite, and I've actually been meaning to reread this one for a while now, so it was extremely enjoyable. I think I fell in love with the characters even more this time, especially with just knowing how the rest of the series was going to play out. It got me even more excited, and I might even finish the series, the whole entire series, all over again. I might actually reread it because this was so much fun. I think this has to be one of my favorite books I've ever read, period, and this reread helped so much. I will just say that. But now we are moving on to the final reading hack of this video, okay? This is the one that I heard people say will actually help, and I'm not too sure about that, okay? Because this one kind of concerns me, and that is reading a book that is out of your comfort zone, all right? Now, this doesn't have to be a book that makes you uncomfortable. This can be a book that's from a different genre that you don't usually read, which in my case is actually science fiction, okay? I will tell you straight up, I'm not the biggest science fiction reader. The only really science fiction book I've read that I've really enjoyed has been Dune, but even then, I'd say that's more like fantasy science fiction. I don't know, just like the whole astronaut space thing, it's not really my thing. I'll just say that's not my normal type of book I read. I'm more fantasy, I'm more horror, I'm more that type of thing, alright? But thankfully, I found a book that people have been raving about recently, and that is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And everyone and their grandma has apparently been reading this book lately, and that's mostly because of the movie that just came out. And I actually went to go see it, and I cannot lie, it was a blast. I think it's the most fun I've had in a movie for a long time, and that is coming from a guy that makes movies. So I think reading the novel version of this will actually go extremely well, because I did the same exact thing with Dune, and I really liked it. So I'm gonna get started to reading that tonight, and I'll let you know how it goes. Oh, wait. What just happened? Let's go read Project Hail Mary. Alright guys, I got Project Hail Mary here with me, and I am about to get into this sucker. I've actually done some research and looked into what other people had to say about this book so I can get a overall general feel for it. I did see the movie, but I also do not know how this book is going to play out at all in terms of the writing style. Is it actually interesting? I don't know how much of the adaptation like it actually captured, but people have talked about how simple the writing is, which I don't know if that's gonna be true or not, okay? But I'm really excited for this book. I think it's gonna be a good read. Let's get into it. Alright, so it's been a couple of days since I started reading Project Hail Mary, and I can officially say that I completed this book, which honestly I'm kind of taken aback by how much I enjoyed this. One of the good things people were saying about this book was how simple the writing is, and honestly, I really do have to agree. This book takes the first-person POV of an elementary school teacher, so all of his dialogue and narration is extremely simple, which I think is something that this book benefits from, because I've noticed that I don't like how complex science fiction books can get, but when you have a character who normally has to explain things to people
people of a younger age, he automatically just makes the complex things simple by nature, which I think is why making the main character a school teacher was probably the best decision this author could have made. Not only is he super charismatic throughout this entire book, but we can empathize with him even more because he just lives this like normal average life. That makes this whole suicide mission thing even more heartbreaking, especially when he becomes friends with an alien in space, but I will not spoil that for you if you're looking into reading or watching the movie for this book. But yeah, to put it basically, the simple writing helped me go through this book so fast. I think this is probably one of the fastest books I've ever read, which this book is actually decently sized. I don't know how I got through this so quickly. Out of all the reading slump hacks that I tried out in this video, I think this one has to probably be the best one. I love reading new things, and I think getting out of my comfort zone a little bit to what I usually read, which is usually fantasy or horror, just made things so much better. And I might look into more of Andy Weir's books because I noticed that this is kind of a common theme to do space travel books. But yeah, guys, I think I can officially say that I am out of a reading slump, which is insane. I'm already back to reading so quickly. I already started another book on my Kindle today, which is crazy. How do you go from finishing a book to reading a book this quickly? Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and let me know any more reading slump hacks that you guys can think of, because the next time I get into one of these, I'm gonna need them. Okay, this was so helpful. All right,